We just made history. Over $19 billion was liquidated from the crypto market in the past 24 hours, and we got a $20,000 Bitcoin move in one single day. In today's video, we'll be talking about what just happened with this bloodbath, and we'll be going over my most recent trade setups. What am I looking for in this market? To keep it short and simple, if you are still bullish and you think we have one last leg to this bull market cycle, this is where you bid. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. As we normally do, kicking us off with the Bitcoin price action. What a crazy candle we just got. As you can see here, we dropped over $21,000 in a single candle. What a crazy move. Now the signs were there. I was expecting a correction, but not that kind of correction. The thing that you need to consider here is that we tapped into a very, very important level. And if we continue to hold this level, the integrity of the bull market is still intact. And I do believe we will be having one last leg higher. Historically, when we get a massive liquidation event like this, it signals that the market is about to reverse course. There were a lot of longs piling into the market, and it made sense to go ahead and wipe all of those positions out. I know a lot of people are in severe distress right now because altcoins, for example, dropped 50% in one go as Bitcoin had this move. And if you really take it into perspective here, you can see that the move for Bitcoin from the top of this daily candle down to where we actually closed was actually just about over an 8% move. That's not that bad for Bitcoin. Obviously, we wicked much, much lower, but the candle closes tell you everything. And speaking of candle closes, I do want to discuss something. Look, the local topping signal was there. Bitcoin made a new all-time high, then we made a second new all-time high, and you can see here that actually we failed to hold above that previous all-time high, which was set back in August. This is what started to trigger a potential short setup. Then, as we continue to get closes there, we weren't able to reclaim the bottom of the candle that sent us to new all-time highs, and naturally, this is what led Bitcoin to go much, much lower. I know a lot of people will start blaming it on the tariff nonsense, the tariff talk, but ultimately, a flush was required. If you've been watching the channel, you know that when Bitcoin moved from around this level and got rejected at the point of control of the range, I was actually expecting us to go even lower right around this level because there was so much liquidity right below $107,000. We front ran that, we had an explosive move to the upside, and it made sense to expect some kind of correction in this market. I mean, it's pretty insane to see over $19 billion worth of liquidations in the past 24 hours. But the thing that you need to consider here is that we are at a pivotal point in this cycle. If we are to move higher, it would be from here. Capitulation wicks don't happen too often, but when they do happen, it could signal a strong reversal in the market. I am personally starting to bid at these levels. I know that might sound crazy and everyone is freaking out, but when I take a look at the liquidation map, I still think that at this point in time, we have a bigger move to the upside to come, and this was the shakeout before the breakout. I know a lot of your favorite crypto influencers were telling you, altcoin season this, altcoin season that, but I remained in Bitcoin and I remained bullish on Bitcoin dominance. As you can see, my Bitcoin dominance trade on Bluffin is actually currently sitting just above $20,000 in profit. And while this was happening and Bitcoin looked relatively weak, we also shorted Ondo on my weeks account. And you can see here that we're currently sitting just over $16,000 in profit. We realized only about $1,000 in profit. I'll likely trim some off the top here, but I know a lot of people in the community printed on this trade setup. The thing I want to show you here is that these are some real members that are making some real profits in this market, whether we go up or down. You can see here that this guy, Crypto Villain, sent this to me. He made over 1,000% on his Ondo short, and he actually managed to close most of his position at the bottom, which is absolutely insane. A lot of members here also traded with a little bit less capital and still made some very nice gains. This guy over here actually started with $20 and he made $200 to $300 on this short setup. If you want to make fun of me in terms of my trading, you can, because I want to show you this. What you're looking at here is one of my most recent Bitcoin shorts. Some pretty nice profits, right? Not necessarily, because as you can see here, I entered right around $123,000. I was expecting further downside. I started closing my position on the way down, and then I also had my final take profit at $115,000. What did this equate to? An average closing price of 119.6K. If I would have held this position down to $101,000, which was the bottom wick, I would have made so much money, and this would have probably been my best ever trade. And if you want to make fun of me in my comment section down below, go ahead. This was an epic fail in my opinion. I could have made so much more profits. And before I get back to the charts, just remember, if you want access to my own personal trade setups, when I'm going long and when I'm going short, you have that first link in my description down below. It is completely free. All you have to do is click this link. It'll bring you to this Telegram page. You DM me the word premium, and I would be happy to onboard you into my free premium group. As I say, the only requirement is that you sign up with one of my affiliate exchange links and you start trading on there. Members have been absolutely printing, as I showed you, and we've been catching the meat of most of these moves. To be perfectly clear though, back to the Bitcoin chart, I still think that we have one last leg higher. If you don't think that the bull market is over, this is actually the area that you want to start bidding. You can see that we had a massive move down. Okay, but right now we are working to try to reclaim this important level, which was one of the previous all-time highs, $112,000. After we get these capitulation wicks, if we start to get acceptance higher and then we start to hold the point of control of this range once more, you know what happens next? Brand new all-time high. I am still of the opinion that we will likely move higher this cycle, and I don't think that the top is in. I am actually going to start entering some longs as we speak here. Now, the other thing that I want you to consider is that if we take it from a weekly perspective, this was the key pivotal level that someone like Benjamin Cowan often talks about that needs to hold as support if we are to move higher. And that is the 50-week moving average. What do you notice on this massive wick? You'll have to excuse my previous drawings. What do you notice here? We tapped right into that 50-week moving average. Now, historically, when Bitcoin loses the bull market support band, we tap into that level, and if we can manage to hold it as support, we move much, much higher out of there. It happened all across this cycle. Check this out. This is the bull market support band. We came back below, we tapped into the 50-week moving average, we moved higher. Same thing over here. We lost the bull market support band, we came back below, tapped into the 50-week moving average, and then we moved higher. And once again, this time around at around $108,000, we held on to the bull market support band, which gave us that pretty impulsive move to the upside, making a new all-time high. And then in just 24 hours, we wicked to the 50-week moving average. But this candle is now holding at the bull market support band. If you ask me, this is not the period in time to be max bearish. I am actually bullish here. To repeat myself, I am actually bullish. If we end up getting weekly closes below this 50-week moving average, that is the point in time where you want to reconsider and say, okay, we're heading into a bear market. But for me, this is the last opportunity in the market. And if you've been watching the channel, I know a lot of you have been waiting to re-enter into the market. Well, in my opinion, this is it. Now, what could happen locally here? We've seen time and time again with these wicks that the bottom of these wicks don't often get revisited if we are to move higher. Key thing, if we are to move higher. However, we can still get some wicks down, and as long as they keep on getting bought up and we continue to hold above some of these key levels over here, that's when the next leg will likely kick off. And so I think scaling in around this region is not the worst idea in the world, and it's actually what I'll be doing in my free premium group. So to be perfectly honest, now that we flushed out a lot of late longs in this market, this may be the opportunity that you were looking for if you were sitting on the sidelines. Now, on the one-day time frame, you can see here that we have a lot of shorts in this market. On the 7-day time frame, it paints the exact same picture. Tons of shorts in this market. And on the 30-day time frame, same exact picture. There is now around 20 billion worth of cumulative short liquidation leverage, and on the left here, there's around 7 billion worth of cumulative long liquidation leverage. I still think that there is a chance that maybe we wick a little bit lower, but ultimately, you don't want to see us lose the level that we just tapped into, which was $101,000. To leave no room for misunderstanding, I still don't think that the top of this bull market cycle is in. If you're in my free groups, you also know that I sold some of my spot Bitcoin around $125,000 just for proper risk management, not because I thought the top was in. I still think that we find our way back above $130,000. And this may be the capitulation wick that sends us to those higher levels. We need to flush out the market before we move higher, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. In terms of Bitcoin dominance, We need to talk about this. Most of your favorite crypto influencers were calling for altcoin season, but I remain vocally bullish on Bitcoin dominance, and this most recent price action is exactly why. You always want to make sure that Bitcoin is most of your crypto portfolio, irrespective of if we're in an altcoin season or not. It's just a general rule of thumb that you should be following, and it seems to have been lost cycle after cycle after cycle. Please remember that Bitcoin is the king of the asset class. So if Bitcoin explodes to the upside, it typically leads the way, and altcoins can follow if we start distributing higher. However, on downturns, when Bitcoin essentially closed the candle just 8% lower than where we were on the daily time frame, some altcoins nuked over 50% in one go. Now, the next thing I want to show you here is to give you an update on the whale that we covered in yesterday's video. He opened up a $750 million Bitcoin short before we had all of this tariff talk with Trump again, saying that he's going to be implementing a 100% tariff on all Chinese imports effective November 1st. Now, this guy clearly knew what was about to come, and he just made over $90 million in profit. Now, technically speaking, he is still in some of his position, but this position was valued at $750 million as we addressed in yesterday's video. So honestly, he's just absolutely swimming in it right now. This could potentially be insider trading, but as you know, this doesn't seem to be that big of an issue in crypto, clearly. And despite the fact that we just had this massive dump, I wanted to give you a little bit more perspective. Look at the ETFs. We literally only saw 4 million worth of outflows, and BlackRock kept on accumulating here. Now, in terms of Ethereum, you can see that, yes, they started offloading some ETH, and we saw 175 million worth of outflows for the Ethereum spot ETFs, but ultimately, this is pretty insignificant if you look at the bigger picture. I will repeat myself. If you think that the top is in, likely you want to see us get confirmation below the 50-week moving average, which is right around $101,000, the perfect level that we tapped into. However, if you are of the opinion that we are having one last leg to this bull market cycle, this is the area where you want to bid. You don't want to start FOMOing in when we start breaking new all-time highs more convincingly. I'll tell you that. And that sums up today's quick video. We saw over $19 billion worth of liquidations in crypto within the past 24 hours. If you believe that the market is over, we should get acceptance back below $101,000 from a weekly timeframes perspective. However, if you are like me, I am currently bidding these levels because I still think we have one last leg higher. Seeing all of the shorts pile into the market tells me that we won't just have an easy road down to the bear market. To be clear, I think that this massive dump should be seen as a very good buying opportunity for the last leg of this bull market cycle. The top is not in my opinion. Of course, I could be wrong, but I'm willing to bet at these levels considering how everyone is max bearish at this point in time. Remember, on the channel, I am a contrarian trader. When everyone is bullish, I actually start to look for shorts. Now that everyone is extremely bearish, I think we may move higher from here. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Remember, if you want to join my free Telegram community, that's the first link in my description down below, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.